Judging by how often poison shows up in our oldest stories, legends, and royal scandals, it's safe to say that humanity has always been fascinated by the quiet kill. Long before guns and gunpowder, a pinch of the right powder could topple an emperor, end a marriage, or decide who inherited a throne. Here's a closer look at the real chemistry behind history's most notorious poisons, and how a few invisible compounds quietly rewrote wars, assassinations, and the fate of entire dynasties. The first thing worth understanding is why poison was so attractive to the ambitious. A blade leaves a body and a suspect. A poison, if chosen well, leaves only a corpse that seems to have died of natural causes. For most of human history, there was simply no way to prove what had happened, and that uncertainty was the entire point. No poison earned that reputation more than arsenic. For centuries, it was nicknamed the inheritance powder, and the name was earned honestly. Arsenic is a tasteless, odorless metalloid that dissolves cleanly into wine, soup, or medicine, and in small doses, its symptoms mimic the ordinary diseases of the age. A victim would develop stomach cramps, vomiting, and exhaustion, the same complaints that killed thousands every year from bad food and dirty water. On a chemical level, arsenic works by hijacking the body's energy supply. It sabotages the enzymes your cells use to turn food into fuel, so organs slowly starve even while the person keeps eating. Give a large dose and death comes within a day. Give small doses over weeks and you get a slow decline that looks tragically natural. That flexibility made arsenic the weapon of choice in the courts of Renaissance Italy, where families like the Borgias were rumored to host dinners that guests did not survive. It became so common in certain circles that an entire underground trade grew around it. In 17th century Italy, a woman named Giulia Tofana is said to have sold a cosmetic-looking liquid, later called aqua tofana, to wives who wanted to be rid of their husbands. And the toll was rumored to run into the hundreds before authorities finally caught up with her. Arsenic gave ordinary people, especially those with little power, a terrifying kind of leverage over the men who controlled their lives. For a long time, the poisoner had a near-perfect advantage because there was no test that could find arsenic in a body. That changed in 1836, when a chemist named James Marsh developed a method sensitive enough to detect even tiny traces of arsenic in human tissue. The Marsh test turned a vanishing crime into a provable one, and almost overnight the inheritance powder lost much of its power. It's a strange truth of poison history that the rise and fall of each substance is really a race between the killers and the chemists, and for centuries the killers were winning. Arsenic wasn't the only metal quietly shaping empires. Lead poisoned the Romans without anyone intending it to. The Romans loved lead for plumbing, cookware, and even as a sweetener for wine, boiling grape juice in lead pots to create a syrup they adored. The problem is that lead accumulates in the body and attacks the nervous system, causing confusion, irritability, infertility, and in severe cases, madness. Some historians argue that chronic lead exposure among the Roman elite contributed to the erratic behavior of certain emperors and the broader decline of the ruling class. Whether or not lead truly helped bring down Rome, it's a haunting reminder that a poison doesn't need an assassin to change history. Sometimes a civilization poisons itself. Then there are the plants, which were humanity's first pharmacy and first arsenal at the same time. Hemlock is the most famous of them, the poison forced upon the philosopher Socrates when Athens condemned him to death. Hemlock contains compounds that gradually paralyze the body from the feet upward while the mind stays clear. A slow, creeping numbness that finally reaches the lungs and stops a person from breathing. Belladonna, also called deadly nightshade, was another favorite. Its name means beautiful woman because women once used drops of it to dilate their pupils for a fashionable look, never mind that the same plant could stop a heart. Belladonna interferes with the chemical messengers that regulate heartbeat, breathing, and muscle control, and a few berries are enough to kill a child. Aconite, sometimes called wolfsbane, was so feared that it earned the title Queen of Poisons, capable of killing through the skin and leaving its victims with a racing, failing heart. Where things get truly dramatic is in the world of assassination, where poison and politics meet. Perhaps the most legendary attempt is the killing of Grigory Rasputin, the mystic who held enormous sway over the Russian royal family. According to the famous account, conspirators fed him cakes and wine laced with cyanide, expecting a quick death. Cyanide is one of the fastest poisons known because it shuts down the very machinery cells use to breathe at the molecular level, suffocating the body from the inside even while there's plenty of oxygen in the blood. Yet the story claims Rasputin kept eating and drinking, seemingly unaffected, forcing his attackers to shoot him before finally drowning him. Whether the cyanide failed because of the sugar in the cakes, a tolerance, or simple exaggeration in the retelling, the legend captures exactly why poison fascinates us. It's a weapon that doesn't always behave the way we expect. Cyanide went on to play a quieter but darker role in the wars of the 20th century. Spies and soldiers carried suicide pills, small capsules of cyanide meant to guarantee a fast death if capture meant torture and the betrayal of secrets. High-ranking figures of the Nazi regime used cyanide to escape justice at the end of the Second World War. The same chemistry that ended a single life in a Russian palace became a tool of espionage and total war, proof that poison never really disappeared. It simply changed hands. The modern age brought poisons that earlier killers could never have imagined. Ricin, a toxin extracted from the humble castor bean, became infamous in 1978 when a Bulgarian dissident named Georgy Markov was jabbed on a London street with the tip of a modified umbrella. A tiny pellet, smaller than a pinhead, had been implanted in his leg, releasing ricin into his body. Ricin works by shutting down the cell's ability to make the proteins it needs to survive, and there is no antidote. Markov died days later, and the case became a textbook example of a state using exotic poison to silence an enemy abroad. Even more chilling is polonium, a rare and intensely radioactive element. In 2006, a former Russian agent named Alexander Litvinenko fell gravely ill in London after drinking tea that, investigators concluded, had been laced with polonium. Unlike a chemical poison that disrupts a single process, radioactive polonium bombards the body's cells from within, tearing apart the molecules that keep tissues alive. There was nothing doctors could do but watch. The case marked a new and frightening chapter, where the periodic table itself became a murder weapon and an entire city had to be checked for contamination. Running through all of these stories is the same scientific thread. Poisons kill because they interfere with the delicate chemistry that keeps us alive, whether by starving cells of energy, paralyzing the nerves, suffocating the body's ability to breathe, or shredding the proteins that build us. The differences are in speed, in detectability, and in how easily they can be slipped into a cup or hidden in a wound. For most of history, the great advantage of the poisoner was secrecy, the ability to kill and walk away while everyone blamed fate or fever. The story of forensic science is, in many ways, the story of slowly taking that secrecy away, one test at a time. It's tempting to think of all this as something locked safely in the past, a tale of ancient courts and Cold War intrigue that has nothing to do with us. But the same curiosity that makes us lean in when we hear about an emperor's tainted wine or a spy's poisoned umbrella is exactly why these stories endure. Poison is the weapon of patience and planning, the choice of those who prefer to remain unseen, and that quiet menace is far more unsettling than any blade. The next time you read about a king who died young, a rival who fell ill at a banquet, or a leader whose mind seemed to unravel, it's worth remembering that history is full of deaths that were never quite what they seemed. Behind the rumors and the legends sits real chemistry, invisible and patient, and for thousands of years it shaped thrones, decided wars, and rewrote the future, all without ever raising its voice.